Clear that New York City will not accept that. We will use every tool, including suing the federal administration for that money, because this is the difference between New Yorkers being able to live in the city that they deserve and New Yorkers being pushed out of that same city. The $18 billion that the federal administration is looking to suspend is money that would be used to extend the 2nd Avenue subway to 125th Street. It's money that would be used to ensure that the project for the highest used rail passageway in the entire United States is one that is actually more efficient, that has fewer delays, and alleviates the bumper-to-bumper traffic that so many are living through, whether they're New Yorkers or they live in New Jersey. We're not going to let a federal administration put more New Yorkers in more traffic and more delays. We're actually going to fight for that money. The second point is public safety is incredibly important. It is the cornerstone of our agenda of affordability. And what that means is working with police officers to deliver that public safety. It also looks like taking steps to ensure that officers can focus on serious crimes and that we have a Department of Community Safety that focuses on the mental health crisis, that focuses on homelessness, and on connecting those New Yorkers with the services that they're currently being denied. I have faith because they have been let down many times before. They've lost faith because they've been told that the politics that actually aspired to reflecting their own needs was one that was beyond that which they could ever expect. And we know, in fact, that it is our job to earn that faith back. But to earn it back, we have to present a different kind of politics. It cannot just be the politics of the past. It can't be the politics of the present, because that politics gave us Donald Trump. That politics gave us Andrew Cuomo. It's time for a new kind of politics. And so my biggest opponent is not one individual, it's that lack of faith. And so every day we're looking not just to speak to those who are already registered to vote, we also want to register new voters. And I'm proud to say that we registered more than 50,000 voters over just the course of a month in the primary. We're looking to continue to keep doing that, because I know in every one of our families, there is someone who isn't yet registered. And that's a possibility to have their voice be heard in our democratic process.
Yeah.
I talk about New Yorkers, because that's who I'm focused on. He is only focused on his own ambition to try and have City Hall as a consolation prize. I'm focused on serving the people of the greatest city in the world.
Okay.
Thank you.
So my name is Amdani. Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan, to invite me here. So I'm the member secretary of Bangladesh Youths for Zohran and also the chief organizer for Southeast Asian for Zohran. I have two questions. One is how happy is the new voter registration, and another one is if the Republican candidate will withdraw. So how will you handle this situation?
So first, I'm very happy about the voter registration, because we want this to be a city where we are not just speaking to the few New Yorkers who vote every election. We want it to be a city where we're speaking to everyone who calls the city home. And one of my closest friends, he told me recently that his 90-year-old grandfather, after living here for more than 40 years, is now deciding to register to vote. And he's doing it because for the first time, he's seeing himself in our politics. And that's important because for so many, especially from our communities, we have been overlooked at best. Oftentimes we are looked at with suspicion. And it is time for a politics that looks at everyone around this table as being just as New York as anyone else across the 5 boroughs. And to your question of what if we have another person drop out of this race? You know, Eric Adams dropped out of this race. There's a lot of pressure for Curtis Lewa to do the same. And that pressure is coming from the very billionaires who put Donald Trump back in the White House. And they're putting that pressure because they want to use every tool at their disposal to try to stop us. I'm confident no matter who is on the ballot, the focus from New Yorkers will rather be on what is on the ballot. And no matter my opponents, what we are actually offering is a vision to make the city affordable. What they are offering is politics as it's been for so many years. This is a city that so many come to with dreams and aspirations of what life could be like. And over these last few years and decades, it's become a city that is more and more out of reach of those same New Yorkers. It's one where they can't afford the basics of day-to-day life here, be it their rent or their childcare or even their public transit, and they can't afford the dreams that brought them here in the first place. I speak to so many in our community who are small business owners. They tell me time and again, the things that are pushing them out of this city, it's not just cost of labor or materials, it's also city government. The fines and the fees that many of them face, where too often the focus of city government is on punishment, not on compliance. And I ask a small business owner what that experience has been like. They tell me it has less to do with the fines, more to do with the attitude of the inspector on that day. And so what we are putting forward is a vision not just to tackle the cost of rent and childcare and public transit, but also a vision that says we're going to cut the fines and fees for small businesses by 50% across the board. We're going to do that because it's important to help these businesses stay open. That's part of our vision for making the city affordable. That's the case we're making to New Yorkers.
Yes, sir.
Me?
So, me?
Yes.
Okay. So I work for the Voice of South Asia channel. My question is, as the Donald Trump said, the poll is too high. And the Donald Trump said, once you become a mayor, you're gonna stop the federal funding. What should be your strategy if you stop the federal funding?
Donald Trump has said he's going to deport me. He said he wants to denaturalize me. He said he wants to arrest me. Donald Trump says many things every day of the week. And the important thing, however, is to ensure that we are protecting the interests of New Yorkers. Right now, Donald Trump has looked to suspend $18 billion in infrastructure grants. I'm not yet the mayor, and he's already doing that. He's doing that because he's looking to enact political retribution on anyone who has the courage to stand up to him. But we know that the way that you actually defeat Donald Trump is you're willing to stand up to Donald Trump. Andrew Cuomo, just yesterday, when Tish James has been prosecuted and persecuted by the Trump administration, Andrew Cuomo released a statement. He couldn't even say Tish James's name. He couldn't even say Donald Trump's name. He went on TV, they asked him, will you condemn Donald Trump for the weaponization of justice? He says, condemn him for what? And that shows somebody who is unwilling to critique him today. It's the same person who will be unwilling to stand up to him tomorrow. What I will actually do is put New Yorkers first, stand up to a federal administration whenever they want to pursue anything at the expense of those same New Yorkers.
Yes, sir.
Me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
The forces that are working against me are very visible. These are the forces of Donald Trump and those that support Donald Trump. Donald Trump has been trying to use every tool at his disposal to stop us. He has been publicly calling for candidates to drop out. He called for Eric Adams to drop out. Eric Adams has dropped out. He's calling for Curtis Lewa to drop out. He's calling for people to coalesce around Andrew Cuomo. And Andrew Cuomo is actively coordinating with him. He even got on the phone with Donald Trump to talk through strategies of how they could do this. These are the forces we're seeing. And the fact of the matter is, for New Yorkers who are concerned about the future of this country under a Trump administration, they should know the same billionaires who put Donald Trump back in the White House are the ones who are now funding Andrew Cuomo. And they're funding him because they know that to have both of them, whether it be in the White House and City Hall, would be to have the same agenda in two places at once.
So you were saying Donald Trump directly working to defeat you, right?
Donald Trump, his donors, and the fact of the matter is that those same donors of Donald Trump are the donors of Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo even admits it himself.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bas.
Over. Yes, over.
All right. Hi, Zohran.
Salim, do you guys have?
Wa alaikum salam, ठीक-ठाक. My question is, would you clarify your position to those who got kind of an impression from your statement or interview that you said if you become mayor, you're gonna legalize prostitution, you know? So there is big confusion in the Muslim community and they want clarification. What is your stand on this? If you could say in English and Urdu,
Yeah.
that would be great.
मैं अंग्रेजी में ही बोल सकता हूँ.
All right.
First of all, I want to say thank you for asking this question because it allows me the opportunity to clarify something. Amidst all of Andrew Cuomo's lies, whether they are lies on TV or lies, frankly, even in the masjid, I have not and am not advocating for the legalization of prostitution. I never have, and I am not doing so. What I have spoken about is the need for us to focus on tackling sex trafficking across the city and ensuring that there is no tolerance for violence against women. And I've said that the most important thing is to deliver safety in this city. And what we've seen is this current approach where the mayoral administration is looking to arrest sex workers and then after arrest provide them with services to connect them with other employment. That is a system where those services should be provided first. Those services should be provided at the initial point of contact, and that is something that we've seen district attorneys today in Manhattan and Brooklyn, as well as the previous district attorney. These are the approaches that they have taken. Those are the approaches the previous mayoral administration has taken. So we're going to end these kinds of raids. We're going to focus our efforts on combating sex trafficking. And we're going to ensure that we're actually connecting New Yorkers with employment opportunities, health and safety, and have the same findings of the United Nations Working Group on Health and Women, the World Health Organization, Amnesty International, have that guide what we do.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
brother.
Thank you.
Sure, and I have,
Yes, brother.
yes,
Yourself from Stephen News.
Yes.
What's one final message you'd like to share with our community?
I would say thank you, because those who have been reading and watching Tikana News are a key part of the reason that I sit before you as the Democratic nominee. The Bangladeshi community at large has been a core reason why we were able to make history. And on primary night, I spoke of all those who have been a part of this campaign, and I specifically mentioned Bangladeshi aunties.
Yes.
I've heard from many Bangladeshi uncles, I should have said them too. But the reason I said Bangladeshi aunties is because every time we would go to Westchester Square, to Parkchester, to Kensington, to Jackson Heights, to different parts of the city, I would see so many aunties who were knocking on doors, who were making phone calls, who were contacting every person in their life. And when we started this campaign, and I told people that part of our path to victory would be bringing South Asian voters to the polls in a way that we had never seen, I was laughed at. I was told that this has no precedent in our politics. And they were right, it doesn't. And yet what we saw is that we were able to increase turnout among South Asians by more than 40%. And that has transformed this city. It has meant that someone understands if they want to win this race, they have to spend just as much time as they do right here in Manhattan as they will do in Richmond Hill, as they will do on Hillside Avenue, as they will do in Kensington. And it's that recognition that all of us belong, all of us deserve the same respect. That's what we're trying to bring to City Hall. So I would say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
consultation.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Ahmed Sohail. I am Chief Business Development Officer of one of the major Bangladeshi TV channel. It's called Banglavision. It's here,
Yes.
and it's also known worldwide. And I have a question about, like, there has been a rumor going on in the community from the police department, especially like Baka people. You weren't there yesterday, and you talk about that. But there has been some rumor that there is a police defunding issue that you claim in many different times, which is not true. But how do you explain this accusation that is being circulated by Cuomo and his team?
Well, I think Andrew Cuomo will make any kind of accusation in these last 3 weeks, and he will make them because he's getting increasingly desperate. And so we should expect any kinds of smears and slander as we get to Election Day. But I also want to take this opportunity to speak to the facts. The fact is, I am not running to defund the police. I've been very clear. I'm running to work with the police department to deliver true public safety. And I have been focused on the fact that we have to ensure not only that we have the police department at the size that it is today, but also that we retain more of our officers. Because what I've heard from so many officers is that it is getting harder and harder to do this job. When I started running for mayor, 200 officers were leaving the department every month. Now, it's closer to 350. And a lot of them are leaving because we are asking them to not just be police officers, we're asking them to be social workers, we're asking them to be mental health professionals. We're asking them even to give directions to tourists when they're in the Times Square subway station. It's time for us to ask officers to be officers and create a Department of Community Safety that helps those officers by focusing on the mental health crisis, on homelessness, on so many of the issues that New Yorkers are concerned about and have seen for years a level of inaction and incompetence when it comes to actually addressing it from City Hall. Ours will be the one that finally delivers on it.
Yeah, just one small question. You are just only 34 years old, and you have gained so much popularity. You have done a wonderful job. You have been doing such one of the biggest campaign in the world, and you are going to be the mayor of the largest city of the world. How do you handle all this?
Largest city in America.
Largest city, yeah.
How many people live in Dhaka? Must be more.
Yes, more.
20
million or more. 20 million or more.
So it's half as hard as Dhaka to be the mayor of New York City. But no, it is. First, it's an incredible privilege to be leading this campaign. It's a privilege because I love this city, and every day I get to meet more and more New Yorkers in different parts of the city. Just today, I started the day in Queens. Then I went to Brooklyn for the Panamanian Day Parade. Then I went for a walking tour of Chinatown. Now I'm here to speak to you. This is all before 12:15. And it's so many different New York cities. And the thing that keeps me going is one, the love of the city, but two, the knowledge that I'm not alone when I'm fighting to lead this city. I have an incredible team around me, and it'll be the same thing in City Hall, where I'll build a team that is not only the best and the brightest, but is a team that comes with having experience over generations, serving a wide variety of mayoral administrations. Because too often, we think that leadership is one person having all of the answers. Leadership is a person who has the humility to know that they will not have all the answers, but they will build a team that does. That's the thing that I'm excited about. That's the thing I'm focused on.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Richard, thank you.
Okay, it's my turn. Okay,
Yes.
this is Sohail from Probashi TV.
Yes.
So it's social media platform in YouTube, Facebook, and some other platforms. Okay. My question regarding the Bangladeshi community. The problem is when I started working with you, I took you one interview. So people were asking about the rent freezing. So a lot of people, Bangladeshi landlords, they are scared about your policies, though they are not very much clear about that. So I need it very clear.
Yes.
I need it. Okay. The other thing is, do you have any statistics about the Bangladeshi voters here, and how much? What is the percentage here? And what actually you want to say to them
Okay.
to vote you?
So to the first policy, and I'll be very clear, I'm running to freeze the rent for rent-stabilized tenants across New York City for 4 years. That is about 2.5 million tenants who live in units that are rent-stabilized. Freezing the rent will bring close to $7 billion in economic relief for a tenant constituency that has a median household income of $60,000 a year. These are the same New Yorkers who are being pushed out of New York City, the ones who have been subject to more than 12% in rent hikes under Eric Adams. I will do that, and I will work with the landlords of those same units to ensure that they are able to continue to maintain those units. What that looks like is working together to develop a property tax reform, because we have a broken property tax system here in New York City, everybody knows it. The second is to ensure that we're working together to decrease insurance costs. When I hear from landlords of affordable housing units, I will often hear their insurance costs have doubled in recent years. There are a number of those landlords came together to create something called Milford Street Captive. This is a pooling of risk that has allowed them to decrease the cost for, I think, around 80,000 units or more. The city should be a part of taking on these kinds of issues, taking on these kinds of costs, helping not just tenants, but also landlords together to implement this rent freeze to make sure they can continue to maintain these buildings. Additionally, to Bangladeshi voters, it is first an honor to be here, and I wouldn't be here without those Bangladeshi voters. Because what we've seen time and time again is so many Bangladeshi voters are also Bangladeshi volunteers who have been knocking on doors across the 5 boroughs, who have been making phone calls, especially drum people, you know, members of drum, members of CAB. These have been the hearts of so much of our outreach to South Asian New Yorkers. And what we have done is bring the respect that is often denied to these communities back straight to them. So every Friday, I'm somewhere for a Jummah prayer. You know, just recently I've been a number of Mondays. I'm making sure that we are speaking to each and every person in the diaspora, because this is a campaign that is looking to represent them as well. So to them I say thank you, and to them I ask them to commit once again to be a part of this campaign, because we have the election in just a little over 3 weeks, and there's another race to be won.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, thank you very much for being giving your precious time to all of our colleagues, I think media especially. My question is, however, the John Lewis campaign, the Blasio campaign, and then Tarek campaign as a journalist. So I witnessed a lot of bizarre negative campaign against the candidate who's already won the primary. And the Congress, some congresswomen, some of the congressmen, they are targeting your socialist agenda as well. Is this because you're a Muslim candidate? What different you will do once you'll be in office, inshallah, I hope so. So, and what is the current situation of your campaign update?
So we are a little over 3 weeks from election day, and we are not taking anything for granted. We are looking to earn every single vote. And so I'm proud to say that whereas in the primary we had 52,000 volunteers, today we have more than 80,000 volunteers. We are confident of knocking an additional 1 million doors in the general election alone by election day. and what we are seeing is that this excitement, this enthusiasm, it is across generations, it's across neighborhoods, across boroughs. And yet, what we will continue to see is the kinds of attacks, the smears, the slander, and it's not just here in New York City, also across the country. And I think there is a significant part of this that are attacks on the basis of my faith. I would be the first Muslim mayor of New York City. I would be the first South Asian mayor of New York City. I'd be the first immigrant to lead the city in generations. And we even had Republican congresspeople who were outraged that I eat with my hands. And that's not something I'm embarrassed of. It's not something that I'm going to give up just because someone can't believe that the same way they'll eat a hamburger with their hands, I'll eat biryani with mine. And what I found is that, I was just walking through Diversity Plaza the other day. There was a man driving his car, he tried to put it in the park, and he was yelling at me outside. He said, I eat with my hands also. And I said, this is what also life is like in New York City. We come from many parts of the world, and we're proud of where we come from, and we're just as proud of where we are today. And I think that this is an opportunity for us to make clear that to be a Muslim in New York City doesn't have to mean living in the shadows of public life any longer. We can actually be just as New York as anyone else because that's who we are. And in running for mayor, I've been asked many times, what is the lesson of having a Muslim mayor? And I say part of the lesson is that it shows that Muslims don't just belong across these 5 boroughs, we belong in City Hall too.
Okay, last question.
Hi. So I think do I have the privilege to ask one more question or just two?
Just
Last one has some kind of privilege.
So, I've had a number of conversations with Congressman Jeffries, with Senator Schumer, and what I've appreciated in those conversations, the focus has been on affordability. How do we deliver for the same sets of constituents that we have?
Yeah.
And I continue to be focused on that question, and I also know that for New Yorkers, endorsements are not things they often ask me about. When I'm knocking on their door, when I'm meeting them on the sidewalk, they're asking me about cost of living and what we're going to do. And I'm proud to say that the real endorsement I'm looking for is from the 8.5 million people who call the city home. And what we saw in the primary is we built a coalition that won the most votes in New York City primary history. And now we are just weeks away from having the opportunity to win that race again. And for Jackson Heights, what I've also heard that often hasn't been covered as much are 2 concerns: parks, sanitation. I've heard concerns around cleanliness, whether it be in Jackson Heights or across the city. And what we found is that too often the city's response when it's facing any issues of the budget is to say, under this administration, they look to actually take garbage cans off the streets. They look to decrease sanitation collection. New Yorkers cannot live in a city that is not providing the cleanliness that we all deserve. And part of that is actually funding sanitation. Part of that is changing the way in which we think about sanitation. Today, sometimes if you have a trash can that's overflowing in New York City, the response from the city is take away the trash can. As opposed to have an additional trash can or increase collections of that trash can, you're just trying to take things away from New Yorkers. The second thing is access to green spaces. I used to work in Jackson Heights at Chaya CDC. I would spend so much time around Diversity Plaza, and I knew that Traverse Park was the only place that many could go. And what we need is an expansion of green space, especially in the outer boroughs, because there's too many New Yorkers who live too far away from a park, such that they have to live in too small of an apartment and they can't take their child anywhere to enjoy themselves, to breathe, to run, to play, to be a child. And so a big part of what we are thinking about is how do we bring that green space, whether it's in Jackson Heights, whether it's in Jamaica, whether it's in Parkchester, wherever it may be. Every child, every family deserves a place that they can actually breathe. And to your question, City of Yes is something that I supported. I think it's important for us to build more housing across New York City. The proposal that's been put forward about one LIC, I've said that I'm always excited at the prospect of building more housing. And I've said that I also think it's important for us to ensure that infrastructure is ready and that we have contiguous park access within that same neighborhood. And these are the kinds of things that I'm very excited about delivering together.
What is the fascination of the white shirt? Always you wear the white shirt. What is the fascination of the white shirt? I saw so many pictures. Every time I found white shirt, white shirt.
Now
And you wear the tie, a different kind of tie.
It's a sign of
But
peace.
Trump
Sign of
always wears,
peace.
wait, Tom always wear the same white shirt but different times. You wear the white shirt different times. What is the reason?
All right, thank
So
you.
the reason is that I bought many white shirts from Uniqlo,
Yeah.
and then I had to buy more white shirts because I wear them every day. And I have a few ties, and I exchange them between them. But I was inspired. I see many white shirts that are here.
Yeah.
How many ties you wear? How many?
5 or 6.
You don't know one question, like what do you say about the